This year I played a ton of really good games, and today I want to be ranking all of them that I played this year. So to get this out of the way, I'm not ranking 2021 only games. There will be some 2021 released games on this list, but it will not be exclusively them because we got some games from 2017. It's just my list on the new games that I've played this year that I never played before. Shoot, I think all the games I played this year were masterpieces. Oh gosh, not that one. At number 9 we have Great Value Smash Bros. Now, I would not have bought this game if every single Smash tuber was not talking about how amazing this game was, how it is so awesome, and now these same Smash tubers are saying, oh, the game's trash. Why did they do this? They made me waste $50. Thank you, Smash tubers, thank you. I really needed that. This game looks like trash, plays like trash, and I'm trash at it. At one point, Hungrybox even put this game as a smash killer in one of his thumbnails. I mean, I know he's infamous for like clickbait and stuff, but still, why hype this game up? I'm truly upset about buying this game because I don't even like Nickelodeon that much, let alone a Nickelodeon off-brand Smash Bros game. Everyone throw hate at me in the comments for buying this game. Even dislike the video. Oh wait, you can't, you fools. I like to partake in a little trolling, a bit of tomfoolery, if you will. No, this game is not the new Melee. And also, I forgot to mention that this game's music is as bare bones as it can be. It's like they went to iMovie Maker and took the music from it. I'm surprised iMovie didn't copyright strike them. Is that from Nick All-Stars or iMovie? You will never know. Man, it feels like an absolute crime putting this game this low on the list at number 8. I mean, the only reason this is number 8 is because this is a port of an older game. I played Mario 3D World on the Wii U to death as a kid. I loved it so much. Me and my sister played it all the time. So I ended up getting it on the Switch. And I loved it, fell in love with this game all over again. And this is during the time where my ankle was broken. So I played it all the time. And I actually 100% of the game with Luigi. But I was not 100% of the game with every single character. Heck no. In my opinion, Mario 3D World is the most underrated Mario game in existence, but it's not my favorite. The level design in this game is so great. It's just an absolute blast from start to finish. And my 100% playthrough with Luigi, it was so dang fun playing this game again. And with this rockin' soundtrack in the background, this has one of the best Mario soundtracks in existence. Mario Galaxy is the only one that tops it for me. The jazz and the orchestra in this game is absolutely incredible. Just listen to the song in the background. It's so good. And with the Switch release, the gameplay was sped up a ton, which makes the game so much funner than it was on the Wii U. And it's especially good for speedrunners. Like, Toad is like little Sonic the Hedgehog here. And just everything about this port is really good, except for the extra game that came with it. Don't get me wrong, I am all for adding an extra game to your port, because that is going all out for Nintendo. Nintendo usually does nothing with their ports and just ports it over to a new system so you can play it on the Switch, play it on the toilet, haha, you get the joke. But as being a great game critic here, Bowser's Fury is not as good as people put it out to be. I mean, it's a neat idea with Bowser and his time limit and stuff, and Bowser looks really cool in this game, not even gonna lie. And the music slaps in this game as always. But Bowser's Fury happening every 5 to 10 minutes is very annoying. And every time I saw the rain, I was like, oh, not this again. Because you gotta find a shine and then put him back to sleep. It's just so annoying. But its premise is really neat. It's like a Clutchathan mixed with 3D World gameplay and enemies. But this was my problem. Every time I booted up Bowser's Fury, I was like, I could be playing 3D World right now and having actual fun instead of fighting Fury Bowser for the 55th time today. And before I know it, I'd be in 3D World playing on my Mario 100% playthrough. Instead of playing the new Mario game, Bowser's Fury, I will be replaying 3D World for the 400th time. So the main reason this is number 8 on my list is because Mario 3D World is an old game and then Bowser's Fury is a game that exists. But still, this is miles better than SpongeBob Smash. Then again, what's worse than SpongeBob Smash? Death? At number 7, we have Deltarune Chapter 2. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed Chapter 1 last year. I played it for the first time last year, but Chapter 2 is so much better. Chapter 2 is so good. Like, it's the best RPG I've ever played. I think it's better than Undertale, to be honest. To be fair, I've only played 3 RPGs, Deltarune Chapter 1, 2, and Undertale, all by Toby Fox, the mad lad himself. The combat system in Deltarune is so much more polished than in Undertale, and Chapter 2 just takes that polish and takes it to a new level. All the enemies in this game are so fun, and the bosses, oh my gosh, the bosses in this game. The bosses are so creative. My personal favorite is Queen at the end. She takes everything you learned in this game and just throws it on its head, and then the Punch-Out reference at the end is absolutely the cherry on top. But remember guys, this game is still an RPG, and those are not my type of games, so I still have my problems with it. But they don't matter, I'm throwing those out the window. And not to mention, this game is insanely funny. Gosh, Toby Fox is good at writing.
Oh no.
And now for my personal favorite thing about this game, its soundtrack. When Deltarune Chapter 2 was announced, I was hyped for one reason: more Toby Fox music. I love Undertale's soundtrack, and it's my favorite soundtrack of all time. And Chapter 1's music was incredible too, so I was stoked to say the least that we're getting more Toby Fox music. And then I heard Lena Raine was helping Toby Fox compose this soundtrack.
I'll take your entire stock!
Yeah, Lena Raine was a genius composer by herself. And then you add Toby Fox, and behold, Deltarune Chapter 2's OST. There's way too many bangers in the soundtrack. Pandora Palace, Big Shot, Queen's Battle Theme, Smart Race, A Cyber's World. The list goes on and on and on until it doesn't, because this is only like a 50-minute OST. And there's the game's biggest problem: it's only like 4 hours. The first game was a little bit shorter than this one, but still, it's really short, and I really contemplated whether or not I should put this game on the video. But I really want to talk about this game, and I think it deserves a spot because it's so good. But the spot is not very glamorous. Number 7 is not a very glamorous spot, but trust me, please play this game. It's literally free on multiple platforms. There's no excuse. Go play it. It's amazing. And one more thing before I start talking about number 6 on this list. Potassium. Remember how I said every entry would not be from the year 2021? Well, so far, every game has been from 2021. But this game was made 10 years before I was even born. Yeah, this is during the time of the reverse short shorts. This is whenever you sag to the ground. It made you quote-unquote hip. At number 6, we have Donkey Kong Country 2. Now, this game I've already covered extensively on my channel, but still, I'm going to still talk about it again because it's such a great game. It's one of the best 2D platformers I played this year, no contest. And it is, at the moment, my second favorite Super Nintendo game of all time. The level design is handled with so much care in this game. It is so fun to blaze through every level. Well, let me rephrase that. Not blaze through every level, because this game is hard as crap. But you also can use the rewind system, so no problems there. And I will admit I use that a ton, especially on the later levels. And I am not ashamed at all. After saying that, I can almost feel my dignity exiting my body. Who needs dignity anyways? Now back to what I was saying. Yeah, the level design is absolutely amazing in this game and is a step up from DKC 1 in every single way. And I love controlling Diddy and Dixie way more than Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong in the first game, because Dixie's a lot of fun, and I always love controlling Diddy, so I never really know which one to use. The bosses are a step up too. They're not great, but except for King K. Rool, I love the K. Rool fight in this game. It's one of the best in the Donkey Kong series, but they don't really match up to the Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze types of quality I'm expecting from these games. But the first game had trash bosses, but this game has really, really decent bosses. And an amazing fight with my Smash Ultimate main. And the graphics are amazing in this game for being a Super Nintendo game. Like, they pushed the hardware to its absolute limits. And finally, the soundtrack. They let David Wise go nuts on this one. David Wise composed every single song in this soundtrack, because in the first game it was co-composed by him and Evelyn Fisher. but this time he went all out, and it shows. This dude pushed the SNES sound chip to its max and pumped everything out and put all kinds of effort into all of his music that he did, and it shows. And this is one of the most beautiful soundtracks to ever grace the Super Nintendo. I'm not even lying. Stickerbush Symphony is one of those video game songs that are once in a lifetime. It is one of the most beautiful melodies and just any type of music. It is so beautiful. And after hundreds and hundreds of times listening to Stickerbush Symphony, it still hits hard, and it just puts the chills all over me. It's crazy. Oh yeah, and he also composed all the other songs of the soundtracks, which are absolutely phenomenal. And my second favorite song is probably Snakey Shantey. It's just a fast upbeat jazz-like song, and it just sounds so good in the SNES. I don't know why. But yeah, this soundtrack is absolutely perfect in every single way possible. And the only reason this is number 6 is because it's a relatively short game, and also the competition is insanely tough now. Like, all the game, we're entering the masterpiece zone. Every single other game on this list is an absolute masterpiece. But yeah, if you have a Nintendo Switch Online, check this game out. I highly recommend it. At number 5, we have Ori and the Stevie Wonder Forest. I'm so torn on putting this game at number 5. I know it doesn't deserve number 5. I know it deserves much higher. But there is a sequel that does everything better, in my opinion. So I just had to put it at number 5. And I'm going to explain. This is such a good game. Don't let its placement, even though it's at number 5, don't let it fool you. It is such a good game, and I would recommend it to anyone who's up for a challenge, because this is definitely one of the most challenging games on this list. I died 713 times. There's 3 main areas in this game. There's the Ginzo Tree area, the Forlorn Ruins area, and the Mount Huro area. The Ginzo Tree is one of the most meticulously designed area in any platforming game I've ever played. It gradually gets you used to the game's mechanics through the Moon Grotto area and introducing you to the mechanics like climbing walls, wall jumping, and then you get to the actual Ginzo Tree dungeon and you get introduced to the bash mechanic. And the bash mechanic is one of the most fun mechanics I've ever used in a video game. So to have one area specifically designed for that amazing mechanic is truly something special, and it teaches you all the different bash mechanics so nicely and so seamlessly. It just intertwines everything, and the way the Ginzo Tree teaches you the mechanics of the portals before giving you the bash, and then once you get the bash, weaving the portals into the puzzles and platforming you do is so creative. And it's like the Mario mechanic where it teaches you something and then gradually expands on it, so you hardly notice the difficulty spike. And then the Ginzo Tree escape sequence is truly the pinnacle of this game. It combines all the mechanics you've learned from the Ginzo Tree and tests you at a rapid speed, and you have to think so fast on your feet. And then the swelling orchestra in the background is just edging you on, keeping you determined, and you're just going back and forth, bashing through every single projectile, going through all the portals, and then the orchestra keeps getting louder and louder, and you keep dying and dying and dying. And then you finally make it out of the Ginzo Tree, and you feel relieved and just feel like you have accomplished something so massive. And then after one of the greatest levels in video game history, it drops this piece of crap on you. The Forlorn Ruins sucks, and you're just walking on these stupid blocks slowly with the Orb of Light. It is so boring, and it single-handedly put this game in 6th place, and then Mount Huro had to save this game again, because I almost quit the game in the Forlorn Ruins. It was so bad. But I remembered that I was playing an Ori game, and then the 3rd level completely made up for it. So yeah, this game is a mixed bag for me, because the Ginzo Tree is absolutely incredible, Forlorn Ruins is crap, and then Mount Huro, incredible. So I think the good outweighs the bad in my opinion. Oh yeah, the combat's pretty trash in this game, but that definitely will be fixed. Wink, wink. And honestly, the soundtrack is not up to par with all the other great soundtracks on this list. I mean, this soundtrack is pretty great. It's got some really good songs like Restoring the Light, Facing the Dark, and it's got, and Light of Nibel is actually insanely good. But it's just too peaceful for my liking, and just too somber. I mean, I like somber songs, don't get me wrong, and they have their place in this game, and they're definitely atmospheric. But Ori and the Will of the Wisps, spoiler alert, has one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. This game's story is absolutely incredible and heartfelt. The beginning cutscenes of this game are so sad and emotional. And then the end where Kuro sacrifices himself to save the forest, it's just so amazing. And I don't usually get very emotional over games, but that ending hit me in the feels. I mean, I didn't cry, but man, it really hit hard. The themes littered throughout Ori's story is love, sacrifice, just the love of mothers, because Kuro's backstory is very justifiable because she's trying to kill you to protect her children, and then the love of another mother, Naru, Ori's mom, just makes her realize that what she's doing is wrong, and it's just such a great storyline, and to intertwine the themes of love and sacrifice. Congratulations, Moon Studios. Ori and the Rage Hall's Forest really actually made me kind of emotional. Attaboy. It was nice of Sega to include a free game with their $20 soundtrack. Anyways, soundtrack of the year, baby! Sonic Mania wins it! Let's go! Guys, I'm getting kind of short on time right now, so after this video, go watch this 19-minute review of Sonic Mania. I really am proud of this video, and you'll hear all of my opinions on this amazing game. Now, these next 3 games are all in my top 15 favorite games of all time, and then number 1 is my top 5 favorite games of all time. So we are in, like, masterpiece S-tier games. At number 3, we have one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my lifetime. But too bad it's a Hollow Knight clone. Trash. Behold, everyone, the only good thing to come out of 2020. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the sequel to the much beloved Ori and the Blind Forest, was reached with critical praise because it did everything the Blind Forest did, but a lot better. It was a much longer game. Moon Studios was much bigger now. It had amazing combat system, bosses, better music, better and more fluid animation, more NPCs, tons and tons of new side quests. This game seems like it had it all. The best Metroidvania to ever grace the face of the earth. And Thomas Mahler, the creator of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, proclaimed this game as the perfect Metroidvania and was a complete evolution of the genre. But then the fans noticed something. Shards? That seems familiar. A map-making NPC? That seems familiar. Side quests revolving around different people? That seems familiar. A whole freaking area that is of spiders? That seems familiar. Yes, of course I'm alluding to the infamous Hollow Knight comparison. Just because Hollow Knight was a very popular Metroidvania in 2017, which came out after Ori and the Blind Forest, doesn't mean Ori and the Will of the Wisp deliberately copied them just because of the commercial success of Hollow Knight. Yes, I do see the similarities between the two games, but I don't think this game is a complete ripoff of Hollow Knight, because yes, I know the combat system is eerily similar. I know that the NPCs were not there in the Blind Forest, but I mean, they're gonna try to upgrade the game anyways. But the funny thing is, Thomas Mahler swears up and down that he didn't like Hollow Knight when the comparisons are blatantly obvious. Okay, I'm done comparing the two games. Let's talk some more about the good things about Ori and the Will of the Wisp. This game is perfectly paced. Like, you're getting abilities like every 1 to 2 hours, sometimes even 30 minutes. And I never got lost one time. This game also brings back the chase sequences from the first game, but makes them so much better. Like, in the first game, the Genzo tree is a classic and is one of my favorite moments in that game. But Will-O-The-Wisp does it so much better, especially in escaping the Sandworm. That is one of my favorite moments of this game. But besides bringing back the amazing chase sequences from the first game, this game adds actual good combat. Good job, Ori and the Will-O-The-Wisps. You did the one thing Ori and the Blind Forest desperately needed. Yeah, spamming the Y button is not that fun, but strategizing what weapons you're going to use against the enemies is completely amazing, and the bosses in this game are perfection. Prime example, Mora the Spider. Let me just set this straight. I love all the bosses in this game, and Moon Studios did an excellent job with the combat and the bosses in this game. With all of them, I don't know how they did, because they didn't do any bosses in the Blind Forest. But back to Mora the Spider. This is an example of an excellent, well-designed boss fight. It starts you off in the complete depths of Moldwood, facing off against your foe. And your foe is completely obliterating you. And then after dying over and over again, you finally figure out what weapon is Mora's weakness. And in my case, it was the spear. And after using the spear and getting past the first and second stages, a chase sequence commences. And as Mora is chasing you, the instrumentation and the motifs of Ori's main themes just coming into Mora's Spider theme song, and it is so wonderfully done. Gareth Coker did an amazing job on all the boss music in this game, but Mora the Spider is definitely a standout. And then after doing the chase sequence, you have to fight her in the dark, which is a mechanic taught earlier in the Moldwood depths, where if you're in the dark, you die immediately, so you have to get your light ability, and it's just so good. It's such a great boss. And it took me like 50 attempts to beat her. Very hard boss. And Ori and the Will-O-The-Wisp main levels or areas that you explore are way more consistent than Ori and the Blind Forest. Like, the Genzo Tree area and the Mount Huro area was really good in the first game, but then there's the Forlorn Ruins area, which I absolutely hate. But in this game, there's like 5 or 6 main levels, so way more, and they're all so good. Whether you're traversing the aquatic dream world of Luma Pools, or the frozen mountain of Bars Peak, or the Deep Nest clone. Just kidding. This is much worse than Deep Nest, but it's still competent. Or the blazing sands of the windswept wastes with the amazing music, or the extreme difficulty of Willow's End. All the areas are so fun to traverse, explore, and of course, feed your ears the most beautiful music of them all. Gareth Coker, you absolute madman. He perfectly balanced the peaceful music from the first game and upbeat epic orchestra that you would expect from like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, some epic movie. I mean, it is one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a long time, and it would have won Soundtrack of the Year if I wouldn't have played Sonic Mania. This soundtrack is 3 hours of pure bliss. I highly recommend listening to it if you're not going to play this game. It is completely worth the 3 hours. If you just have a lot of free time, just listen to the whole thing. I haven't listened to the whole thing in one setting, but I played through the game, and I listen to my favorites all the time in my free time. So to recap everything I've been blabbing about for the past like 6 minutes, this section has been going on for entirely too long. I know Ori and the Will-O-The-Wisp borrowed a ton of mechanics from Hollow Knight, but if you're gonna model yourself after a game, why not model yourself after the best? And Hollow Knight is the best of the best when it comes to Metroidvanias, so good on them. And I think that they made the most streamlined and simple Metroidvania to date. I never got lost one time. Please play Ori and the Will-O-The-Wisp. It is an amazing game, and it gave me about 20 hours of pure joy. What's up, gamers? Today we're going to be talking about Celeste. Celeste is a new puzzle platformer made by Matt Miggs Game Studios. And yeah, this game is so hard, it really made you feel the exaggerated swagger of a girl. I know, it's a funny joke. I know you got that one. Anyway, this game is composed by Lena Raine. She's such a good composer, and I know it's such a good soundtrack.
15 minutes later.
That's when depression started setting in. Celeste is the best 2D platformer of all time. Change my mind. The only 2D platformer that even touches Celeste is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and DKC 2. And modern 2D Mario, they're not even in the same ballpark as Celeste. Celeste has the most addictive gameplay on this list. It is so satisfying to run through these levels, no matter how many times I've played it. I've played this game through about 3 times now, and I don't get tired of it. I legitimately don't. Even though I haven't 100%ed it yet, because my gamer skills are not there yet. I beat 7B, which was one of my greatest gaming accomplishments of all time. 7B put me through you-know-where and back. And the thing about Celeste, it is not like the Ori games where you have a bunch of different abilities to master. With Celeste, you got one ability, dash. And it milks that dash move for everything it is worth. Now, a video that you can watch that covers this value and simplicity is my good friend Stel Karma's video on Celeste. Go check it out after this one. And then all the gimmicks for the levels are so masterfully done. In Chapter 1, you have the moving blocks and just a simple little gimmick to get you introduced into the game. Chapter 2, you have the space blocks, which you just fly through and it's super fun. Chapter 3, you have the fungus-looking dust bunnies, I think that's what they're called, something like that, where they move around rapidly. And then Chapter 4, you have the wind. Chapter 5, you have red bubbles and blocks that move every time you dash. Chapter 6, you have the blocks that whenever you hit them, they go a certain direction, and you have the feather. In Chapter 7, you have the double dash. I was obsessed with this game's movement and level design so much that I tried to speedrun the game. So I looked up all kinds of videos on the tech on how to speedrun the game, and then I was dumb enough to look up a pro speedrun the game. I'm actually amazing at Celeste, so because I beat 7B. So I should be able to beat these noobs who speedrun the game. So let's just look up a couple of their speedruns. Yeah, my speedrunning dreams were crushed, but nevertheless, I still, even to this day, try to run this game as fast as I can, just see how fast I can beat it in like 2 hours maybe. And that's just because this game's movement is so satisfying and the level design is flawless in every single way, and I never ever get tired of playing these levels. And another thing that helps it is Lena Raine's soundtrack. She did a phenomenal job with the soundtrack. It's a really piano and synth heavy soundtrack, but every character has their main motifs, and it seems like every character has their own instrument. Like Madeline has the piano, Madeline has the synth, and Theo has the guitar. It's just a really, really good soundtrack. Not the soundtrack of the year, but it is solid as a rock. Celeste's story at its core is about a girl climbing a mountain. That's it. But there's so many layers to Celeste's story, it's not even funny. Let's just start with this. The antagonist of Celeste is yourself. Madeline is like your evil doppelganger that always tells you you're not going to be able to climb the mountain. You're not going to be able to. Stop trying. Go home. And she's always putting a negative perspective on everything. Just like in our own heads, we're always putting a negative perspective of everything in life. Like, we're not going to be able to do this. Why are we even trying to do this? So it speaks to people on a deep, deep level to overcome yourself. And I personally need to learn that, because I really struggle with self-confidence. And Madeline really does in the beginning of Celeste too. But she overcomes herself, and then the two of them become one at the end. And it's so beautiful in the finale whenever you have the double dash with her and battling together, and it's just an amazing conclusion to this very heartfelt story, which I can't cover all the layers for now because I am running low on time. So see ya. Wow, if I had a nickel for every time Clutchathan talks about Hollow Knight, I would have 3 nickels, which is not a lot, but it was weird it's happened 3 times. Seriously, what else did you expect to be number 1? I've gushed about Hollow Knight 2 times now. It's had its own 17-minute video. Go watch that. I explain everything I love about Hollow Knight, so I don't have to do it again. But trust me, Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games of all time, so of course it's going to win Game of the Year. and it's definitely the best Metroidvania of all time. My goodness, did this video take it out of me. This is the hardest I've ever worked on a video. The past few weeks, every free chance I've got to work on this video, I have been working on it, and planning for it, and writing for it, and getting the music for it, because I've had a really busy couple weeks because of basketball starting and everything in school, and I've really been working hard on this video for so long. So please give it some likes, because I know it deserves it, and it would really help the channel out. And also subscribe if you want to. I know I never do outros like this, but thank you everyone for sticking this long. If you made it through this video this long, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time, guys. Subscribe or I will appear at your house.